But then when you've got Angel screaming, Angel does it again. And
that was something, right?
That was something.
I'm sorry, you canceled the support for the game a month ago.
Why would they even host a trade?
I don't know.
And I sit down and he picks up one donut and eats it. So you want to QA games?
When the rubber meets the road, they're gonna be like, oh my god, I don't like seeing Mario get his skull smashed.
Oh, I would love
It
to see
doesn't
that.
work.
I would love to see
Yeah,
that.
like I said.
Welcome to BattlefieldOne Podcast, the best Battlefield-related podcast on this bloody planet. The best Battlefield-related podcast. No joke, I'm just telling you straight away. We're the best Battlefield-related podcast on the planet. My name is Tom, also known as the Lanky Soldier, and welcome to another episode where we talk about, you guessed it, Battlefield. And I'm by myself today, because Ray is working, and Andre is doing other stuff, so I'm by myself today. But I have some stuff to talk about, so it's gonna be another... I mean, I have notes in front of me, but we're gonna talk about something that... Just to get out of the way, there's some leaks and everything, like key details and everything, because we're not really a technical podcast, but might as well cover some technical stuff that people are really not familiar with, because they read about the leaks and everything, but they don't know the details about the leaks, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna talk about that, because there's some stuff that happened, and I just want to mention to everyone, so everyone caught up with everything that's going on with this new Battlefield game that's gonna come out next year, allegedly. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so... join this conversation with me, listen what I have to say, be involved. You know, we have a Google Docs document in the description where you can give us feedback and everything. So if you don't like this episode, just let us know. Use a Google Docs document for feedback. So it's in the description, and just press the link, just send the feedback, and that's it. It's that easy. And of course, leave a rating, like if you enjoy the podcast. And of course, shout out to our Patreon, because without our patrons, I don't think I would be doing this podcast. Just saying. So, thank you guys for supporting us on the Patreon. Thank you for subscribing and getting all the exclusive content and all that kind of stuff. So, thank you so much. So, do check it out, patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. But yeah, that's kind of it. So, just enjoy my conversations. Let's see what we have in store on this episode. And yeah, just enjoy the show. So the first topic of this episode, I kind of want to mention this thing. So in the last month, I would say, there were a couple of leaks that were quite big. So one of the leaks was, of course, weapon list and everything. That's not really a big leak because it's from the gameplay, but all that kind of stuff. So we know 52 weapons that may or may not be in launch when the game is gonna come out. So 52 weapons comparing to what, like 15, 20 we had in Battlefield 2042, that's quite something. Loads of explanation and data came out about the Battle Royale section of the game that is gonna come out, fuck knows when, but it's coming, Battle Royale is coming, so loads of details got leaked about that. And sorry if you hear banging in the background, the construction is happening in the background, I can't do anything about it. So, and there was a sneak peek, I would say, I don't know how to call it, like a clip, a cutscene, a gameplay cutscene from the next Battlefield single player. It was like a mock-up, it was like early mock-up, how this mission will go, what you should do, and all that kind of stuff. And basically, you control your character, you shoot some people, cinematic stuff happens, and the mission ends. And that got leaked up, like somehow. Well, I explained somehow, but... that got leaked. Then there's some stuff got leaked. I'm checking the list what got leaked. Equipment, of course, but that's from the gameplay, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, yeah. So in the last month, there was loads of leaks. Also, there was leaks, like we mentioned for the last couple of episodes, about returning maps, like the classic Battlefield maps returning to the game, like Propaganda, but set in a different location. There's Firestorm, also set in a different location. Battlefield Hardline's downtown was mentioned. There was another map that got mentioned. I can't remember what it was. Oh, Telemarket from Battlefield 3, that got mentioned. So there's loads of stuff that got leaked last month. And of course, my co-host Ray, who hosts the podcast with me and everything, he mentioned that, hey, DICE developers or any developer working on this game are not that, what's the word I'm looking for? Relaxed they know that people gonna data mine the files. They know they're gonna data mine everything that is in the game files, and just gonna be in the public. People will know. So he thinks that this is on purpose. So there's some sort of like marketing happening in the background. Like, yeah, the playtest is under NDA, but it's not really our fault that they share like all this footage with everyone else that are not under NDA, and it's like they in the public to promote the game. No, we have no idea what's going on. No. So that was his idea, that they actually do this on purpose. So, some background marketing happening because legal wants NDA, but developers don't want NDA because they maybe want to showcase how the game is and everything, so on. Just to, promote, showcase, like, we're going to the right direction with this game. That's what Ray thinks. After a month of just pure leaks non-stop from this game, I'm starting to think that this is not on purpose. I started to think this is kind of just, I don't know what to call it. It's not mismanagement. It's not oversight. The word oversight is probably the best way to describe it. I think it's just a simple oversight. I don't think people working on this game realize that Battlefield community has people that actually can data mine files really perfectly and just like check everything that is in the game files that they're working on. I just don't think developers realize that will happen. I really don't think they realize that's gonna happen. So of course people went file digging, found some files, and yeah, that's why there was so loads of leaks. I will not say it's incompetence, but it's just an oversight. I really don't think so. Don't think that developers realize that people gonna data mine the files and will find all these details about their game they're working on. I really don't think so. Like, I don't think it's on purpose. And I seen that the single player clip that Temporal found, that's the guy that been data mining all the files for the game. I did notice that the single player clip, like the cutscene, the gameplay, whatever you want to call it, it was like a minute long. It's deleted. Is DMCA'd on Twitter. So I guess that basically proves to me that EA and DICE or Motive in this case, because Motive is the one working on the single player, I'm pretty certain that they did not want this to be leaked to the public because it was really early days. I'm gonna talk about the clip later, but actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna talk about it now, just because. So basically, the clip is you as a soldier shooting some people, planting explosives. You plant the explosives. You try to run away in a truck. You back of the truck, shooting some people, and the truck drives away while there's like explosion happens, and the dam that was behind you, you're planting explosives on a dam. So like Battlefield 4, there was a single player with Battlefield 4, you plant explosives to destroy the dam. So it's basically that. So they still remember how dams look or how they work. So they go, you plant some explosives, you run away, escape the explosion with the truck, back of the truck, while shooting some soldiers, which soldiers were placeholder soldiers from Battlefield 4. I saw some Russian soldiers models in there, but it was like early days. It was like not animated, just like blocky and everything. It's just like, it was just like a concept thing, I would say, like a planning phase and so on. Whatever the case may be, right? It's like a look how the mission will go and how the set piece is gonna trigger and all that kind of stuff. And it was really early looks. It was not in a playable state if you're wondering that. So of course I'm not gonna show that clip here, but yeah, it was a mission from a single player, and basically you drive away with a vehicle, you shoot some people, and the dam behind, like as you look back of the truck, as you're back of the truck driving away, you see how the dam, there was an explosion and the dam just pours water, because the dam is destroyed, so all the water pours, and you're basically trying to run away from that, and then the game, the mission fades to black because you did your mission, you did what you came for, and so on. And someone also data mined that this is like mission 8 or something like that in the single player, because there was like a description of the missions that you have to do, what you need to do in the single player. So I don't know how true that is and everything, or how much the missions changed, because when you make a single player game, you have in mind maybe 20 missions that you want to make for a game, but you have to cut like half of them because you have no time to finish it, you know. So I have a feeling this might be one of the cases where you just like, you know, you making a single player game and we don't know if this mission is going to be there at the end of the day, like when the game launches. We don't know if this mission is going to be there at launch day. Maybe the mission is already scrapped. Maybe that's why did not mind have this mission in the game files. But I really don't know what's the point of keeping it in the game files if people are gonna determine and gonna build some sort of expectation what you expect from the single player game. So I do not know. So, but the way I see it, I don't think this was on purpose. Maybe DICE knows, like because DICE is working on the multiplayer and the background, you know, the background mechanics, the foundation of the game, while Motive is making the single player. And because it's a single player thing, I guess just Motive did not realize that, hey, people are gonna data mine the files. I don't think they just realized. I think it's as simple as that, you know. But at the same time, Battle Royale stuff got also leaked, which is worked on by Ripple Effect. So I think I told Ray in the background after all this thing like happened and everything, all the leaks. I literally told him, I think the next time we're recording an episode together, I think we have to approach this with the most easiest explanation ever. Like the easiest explanation is usually the best explanation. I just don't think they realize that. I think it's just an oversight. So every time we read a new leak or whatever the case may be about this game, you know, that it was not supposed to be public, I just gonna presume that this was leaked by accident, not on purpose, not by design. You know, Ray loves to give a lot of credit to developers, like, yeah, this is on purpose, of course, to promote the game and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's the case, because I really think this is just an oversight and they just forgot about it or whatever, and they did not realize people gonna data mine. They did not realize that people gonna go that deep into the game files and find something like a single player mission, right? It's just, yeah. It's just... So next time we're gonna record together, I told him, next time we're just gonna assume that this is not on purpose. There's no deep conspiracy theory about the leaks. I think this is just an oversight because there's loads of moving pieces, loads of developers working on this, 4 studios working on this game. Something is gonna leak, something is not gonna, you know, something gonna be missed in the miscommunication, whatever the case may be. It will happen. It will happen in some shape or form because it's a big game, very expensive game, and shit happens. Just shit happens. And speaking of the game being very expensive, I want to mention this, that the community finally, will be content creators or Redditors, Twitter users, whatever the case may be, doesn't matter. The general Battlefield community, they're finally coming around. Finally. Not all of them, but good chunk of them finally coming around the idea that, hey, maybe this game is not gonna come out later this year. Which I've been saying to you since Battlefield Labs got announced. Since Battlefield Labs got announced, I've been telling you all. Ray and Andre been saying, like, no, they're definitely coming out. It's coming out later this year. And I'm like, no. Boys. Listen here. If the game is coming out later this year, I don't think Battlefield Labs will be a thing. So that's like, there's some things that you have to consider why the game is not going to come out later this year. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go find right now on my Twitter, because I did post reasons why the game is not going to come out later this year. So I might as well tell you on the podcast just what I want to. So anyway, why the game is not gonna come out this year, and these are my observations, and I'll explain why the community is also thinking that way. So the reason why the game is not gonna come out later this year is that all the playtesters that played this Battlefield Labs playtest, like the players that played the playtest on Battlefield Labs, they all been saying that the game is extremely alpha. Extremely. And speaking of alpha, I know that the Battlefield Labs new playtest, and there's going to be a new playtest tomorrow, I think, because I'm recording on the 26th of June. So there's going to be a new playtest tomorrow. and apparently the game is already in alpha stages. You know, it's not pre-alpha anymore, it's alpha. It doesn't matter if it's alpha, pre-alpha, it doesn't matter. But what the playtest said, that the playtest is the game is very alpha-like. Which is obvious, like you don't want to put everything into the game. So like I said, people gonna data mine and everything, they kinda knew that. Like some people knew that people gonna data mine everything, so that's obviously. But anyway, the game felt like really alpha because there was some unfinished animations, loads of placeholders, loads of items with no textures, all that kind of stuff. Whatever the case may be, there's loads of like the menus and everything. Like, clearly very, very alpha. Just they're still building the foundation of the game. Now, of course, people say like, oh, the build is a couple of months old. Of course, it's not finished and so on. Yeah, but when you want to when you want to test the game and you have thousands of people ready to playtest your build, you kind of want to give it the latest build you can give to the player base, because you want to see if something that you already created actually works. And when you like playtest something on a specific build, right, and then you have a build that is like a couple of months ahead and you change something and you have not playtested that, and then you, let's say, launch the game, it's like, oh, shit doesn't work, something is not right, or whatever the case may be, because you did not playtested that. Well, of course you did, but you did not playtest that properly with other 1,000 players that signed up for the playtest. You know, so there's when you put something on Labs, like if you're a developer and you put something on Labs, you kind of want to put the latest build possible, so you get all the data that is somewhat relevant to your development, right? And that's why I'm saying that the people when play the Battlefield Labs playtest, as kind of assume, like, yeah, it's a couple of months old for sure, but you kind of have to assume that it's kind of the newest build, because it's just easier to find any bugs or important problems with the build, so that means you can fix it in your current build that you're working in the background, right? So that's one way they do it. But the way people describe the alpha is very, very early. You will need a miracle and a lot of crunching to do if the game is going to come out later this year. If the game that they've been playing in the last month or two, and they think it's going to come out later this year, it doesn't seem like it. So like you will need a lot of crunching to achieve that. Also, I mentioned that on the last couple of I think it was episode 40, was it 40 or 39? I can't remember. One of the early episodes we did. Jason Schreier, a reputable gaming journalist, he wrote an article maybe like a month ago or two about GTA 6, how GTA 6 got delayed. Well, delayed. It's gonna come out next year, May 2026, May. And of course, everyone's like thinking, oh, okay, so Battlefield can release this autumn. But Jason Schreier said in that article, which I haven't noticed because I don't really read those articles, but I had to read this one. He mentioned that, hey, there was lots of discussions from developers of a big multiplayer game. I think he mentioned AAA game. I think he mentioned AAA multiplayer game that is debating if they should release this autumn, and they were low-key hoping that the GTA is going to be releasing this autumn so they can have the March release date. But as soon as GTA 6 got announced, as soon as GTA was announced that it's releasing in May, that big multiplayer game was debating now if March is still the best release date, and should we push it to autumn? Well, they can't really do that because the game is not finished. Should we push it beyond summer and all that kind of stuff? So that's Jason Schreier saying about this big multiplayer game. Now, of course, he didn't say what multiplayer game that is, but that big multiplayer game could be, well, it's only Battlefield. He is not definitely talking about COD. Call of Duty will coming out later this year. That's a given. Then I checked what kind of other big multiplayer games coming out later this year, or even an upcoming year. Only Battlefield that comes to my mind. I don't know what other multiplayer games that we are talking about here that is coming out or planning to come out this autumn or in the next, upcoming spring. I don't know what games. The only thing that comes to my mind is multiplayer. Like Battlefield, right? That's the only game that comes to my mind. I checked, like, what game's coming out in the next year, and Battlefield is the only thing that is somewhat scheduled. So clearly he's talking about the Battlefield game, because I don't know what other game he's talking about. So inside, that means that developers are debating, like publishers and developers, EA and DICE, they're debating if originally they had a March release, and now with GTA coming out in May, now they're thinking, fuck, it's March is still the best way to release is the best time to release the game. I still say yes, because if the game is not ready, I'd rather wait a little bit and finish it so we can reach that March deadline. Don't force it on autumn and have a shitty broken launch. I don't think anyone wants that. So that's why Battlefield Labs exists, because it just makes sense. So like, you have almost a year to perfect the game from the playtest and the feedback you get from the players that play in this game. It kind of makes sense. So it made sense back then, it makes sense now. Now, of course, the single player, I think we discussed it 2 episodes ago. We talked about the article that was released on, was it Inspire? I can't remember what was the website, the website called the media establishment that wrote an article about the next Battlefield single player. And the creative directors came in on that, and they said in that article that our inspirations for the next Battlefield game are a movie called Civil War and a show called Lioness. Now that's nothing like what did he say? Normal people in extraordinary situations. Sure, whatever. You can say whatever you want. It's fine. Civil War was an interesting movie. I haven't watched Lioness, the TV show, so I have no idea what. Sorry if I'm a bit coffee. I don't know why. It is a bit hot here. I haven't watched Lionel, so I have no idea how that show is. I watched the movie Civil War. It was fine, whatever. A movie about gaming journalists, not gaming journalists, war journalists going around America during a civil war. So that was the movie, and it's fine to be inspired by those titles. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with them. What I find it really, what's the word I'm looking for? Questionable. When did this movie came out, and when did the show came out? 2024. 2024. So that means, as I said, wherever Ridgeline Studios was working on the single player game 2 years ago, before they got shut down, scrapped. Everything got scrapped. Everything, what was it? I think the studio got, they got scrapped last year. Yeah, so they got scrapped 2024, March. The studio got closed down that was working on the Battlefield single player. Scrapped. Everything they worked on that game, scrapped. So that means, because Regional Studios got shut down, they need to give the single player missions to finish for someone else. So they gave it to Criterion, I think back in April, maybe? Yeah, 2024 April. So Criterion came in and started working on the single player game. After Ridgeline Studios got closed down, Marcus Leto, that was supposed to be the Kevin Feige of Battlefield, left EA. So everything they worked on got scrapped. And Criterion was tasked to make the new single player game for the new Battlefield game. They have barely a year to do it. If the game is coming out 2025 autumn, they have barely a year to do it. And then 2 months later, EA announces that EA Motive, the studio that worked on Battlefront 2 single player, and the remake of Dead Space, they're working on the next Battlefield single player game. So whatever Criterion was working on was also scrapped. So that means the development of the next Battlefield single player got scrapped 2 times now. And we're working again from scratch with the new studio. And of course, Motive will have their own ideas and what they want to do and so on, because the way they see, different development studio and so on. So that got scrapped. So that means they even have less time to make a single player game for the next Battlefield game. They have less time to do it. So that's only, sure, you could release the single player game a bit later than the multiplayer. You release the multiplayer now, and then you release the single player game. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. The people are not gonna pay money for that. That's a really weird way to release the thing. I get the reasoning if they would ever do, but I don't think that would be a good I don't think that's a good idea. You kind of want to release the single player first, and then maybe the multiplayer later. If we're doing like releases for different content, for different like for battle royale, multiplayer, and single player differently. No, but I think you should release the single player first, one way or another, or at least at the same time as the multiplayer. That's the most. So basically, there's no time to finish the single player, and there's no way they're gonna finish for 2025. So I just don't see it. So I don't think it's for this year. There's no way. Also, Andrew Wilson has been very vague about the release date too. For the last decade, EA CEOs were really clear when the next Battlefield game is gonna come out. They've been very, very clear. So yeah, Battlefield 1 is gonna come out autumn 2016, right? It will be in autumn holiday season, or holiday season, whatever the case may be. Then Battlefield 5, yeah, it will be holiday season this year. Didn't give a specific date, of course, but they say the timeline when the game is gonna come out in that time period. And it's been for the last 10 years. They've been very adamant when the game is gonna come out. This time, with even Battlefield 1 2042, even that game was very clear. Yeah, the game is gonna come out in this time frame. There was no mention of, maybe we'll delay the game for 6 months to fix the bugs and everything. So they should have, but hey, that's not the point. The EA CEOs were very adamant about when the game is gonna come out. This time around, Andrew Wilson says it's gonna come out 2026 fiscal year, which ends April next year. So I'm like, okay. Then there was another. That's what he said back in February, I think, or March for the investor call. No, I think it was February. Yeah, it was February. I think it was February. So that's when Wilson said, yeah, the game is still scheduled for 2026 fiscal year, which ends April next year. And he also said that he does not oppose for the idea to release the game after fiscal year 2026. So he's okay delaying the game beyond April 2026. So next year summer, next year autumn, whatever the case may be. He's not opposed to do that. This is the first time I hear an EA executive talking like that about a Battlefield game. In the last decade, I've been reading a lot of EA investor calls and everything for the podcast and all that kind of stuff. I'm making videos, YouTubes and so on, and people love to see what people like. Oh, well, what does Andrew Wilson mean by that? Well, I'm telling you what he means by that. He means that the game is not fucking finished and it's not coming out later this year because we're not fucking done. We're so behind with everything. So that's what it is. That's a good indication to me that the game is not coming out this year, because he would announce the date or the period when the game is going to come out at that last investor call that happened a month ago, back in May. He didn't say when the game is gonna come out. They didn't even announce it like the period. They said yeah, the game is coming out 2026 fiscal year, and Battlefield Labs is a huge success. That's it. That's the thing. The only thing he said in the last investor call. And speaking of Battlefield Labs' existence does prove a point, because Battlefield Labs existed. As soon as, like I said at the start of this episode, as soon as Battlefield Labs got announced, I said on that episode, like 3-4 months ago, the game is not gonna come out later this year. There's no way, because it's just okay. If anyone has any experience, if you're listening to this podcast and you played in Battlefield 4 CTE back in the day, right? You know how long it took for the developers to do any changes or produce content and test it on CTE, then test it again and then release it for the public. There was a lot time gaps, like that was nothing was happening, because developers were working on this content and making sure that, hey, you have something playable on the playtest on CTE. We'll get the data, and after the data is collected, we'll see if we can apply that feedback to the next build, and then when the game is somewhat in a good state, we can release the content and so on. Took a long time to do it, and Battlefield Labs is not going to be different. You will need time to gather all the the data, the feedback from Battlefield Labs, about the locked weapons or the few field upgrades, whatever they're called, right? Field upgrades, the weapon restrictions. Should the weapons be restricted to classes or should not be restricted to classes? Then everything else, cosmetics, probably map design, game modes, how the game feels, and everything. There's lots of things that you need to go through, filter the feedback and see what you can apply for the next build. Then you playtest that again, see what works, and then at one point we're gonna hit the stage when it's like in open beta stages, and we can actually like have somewhat stable build where people are having fun with the game. There's loads of iteration and loads of things will be scrapped, loads of things will be cancelled or redefined, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. There's lots of things that will need to be worked on. It needs time. We're already at end of June. We're entering July. We still don't have a reveal for the game, and which I'll talk about in a moment later. We still don't have a reveal for the game. There's no time. If the game is gonna come out later this year, I'll be very impressed that they did it. But at the same time, I'll be really worried because I'm expecting a horrible launch. Absolute horrible launch if that happens. And this is the most expensive Battlefield game to date. 4 studios working on this game, with 1 already closed down. So technically 5. The 5 studios worked or working on this game. It's the most expensive Battlefield game to date. Now people were saying like, oh, why there's no reveal and so on and all that kind of stuff. Well, because why there was no Battlefield on Xbox Showcase. Listen here. Microsoft. Who owns Xbox? Microsoft. Who owns Call of Duty right now? Microsoft. Which is basically a Xbox exclusive. It's not, but you get what I mean. Microsoft owns Call of Duty. And you damn right know that, if you listen to this podcast, you damn right know that Battlefield and Call of Duty always been this traditional rivalry, right? It's been, they were traditional rivals. Because Battlefield basically was an alternative to Call of Duty. Hey, you don't want the... Oh, sorry, I hit my microphone. You don't want like 6-on-6 typical, simple... I need to stop knocking stuff off my table and everything. Anyway, you don't want to play Call of Duty. That is 6-on-6, small maps and everything. What about Battlefield? Try a bit something bigger with vehicles, all that kind of stuff, right? But it's still arcade. It still feels like, you will feel like a home, right? So Battlefield always been that, right? To Call of Duty, Or when you're sick of big battles and vehicles and everything, you can always have something else, which is like Call of Duty, right? The Call of Duty and Battlefield player base always, mixed. The player base always mixed, because it's just like those type of games, right? So, did you literally expect a Battlefield game, the most expensive Battlefield game, to be revealed at Microsoft's event, where the main promotion for Call of Duty? Of course not. Hell no. Hell no. And of course, we're like, why there was no Summer Game Fest? Well, a week before the Summer Game Fest showed a graph. Oh, these are the publishers and developers that feature on Game Fest. And EA was not there. Any of the EA studios was not on the list. So I'm like, okay, they're not going to be on the Game Fest. It kind of makes sense because they want to do their own thing. And of course, some people say like, but maybe they can release their own trailer, because they want to do their own thing. Maybe they release on the same time as Game Fest. I'm like, no, they don't want to compete with any other game for exposure because they want all the exposure. So the reveal will happen during the summer. What's his name? The producer Andy Makamara. What's his name? I guess one of the DICE EA people, right? He replied to some content creator and he said, "Yeah, the reveal will happen this summer." He didn't specify when. Could be July. Could be August. Could be any time, right? And that's pretty late for to reveal a game that is coming out later this year. It can happen. It happened before with Call of Duty, but I don't think it will happen with Battlefield because, again, Most expensive Battlefield game to date. They don't want to share any coverage with anyone else. They will do the reveal in the summer when they know 100% that there's no Call of Duty reveal, there's no Warzone news, there's nothing in the background, there's nothing, literally nothing being announced, so they can have all the attention to them, so all the, journalists and YouTubers, content creators, whatever, they can talk about this game and this game only, because it's the most expensive game. That means we need most extreme exposure we can get from the player base and everything else, like from the media and so on. That's what we're working here with. You have to understand that. So if you want to predict when the reveal will happen, I'm telling you right now, the reveal will not happen at Gamescom. The most that Gamescom will show is maybe something after the reveal. That's the most you will see at Gamescom. You will not see a reveal for the next game at Gamescom, because Gamescom is there will be other big games out there, and no, Battlefield doesn't want to do that. Because it's too many eyes on other games. Hell no, they want maximum exposure. So that's not gonna happen on Gamescom. If the reveal doesn't happen on Gamescom, don't expect a big reveal on Gamescom. Do not expect that, and if that happens, do not expect this game to come out later this year. That's just not happening. So that's all the 5-6 points I want to mention why this game will not come out later this year. Because signs are there indicating that this game is not ready for release this year. Am I wrong? Could be. Maybe it's releasing later this year. I could be absolutely wrong. But if I'm wrong, I will be right at the same time, because I have a feeling the game will be either bare bones as fuck or broken as hell. Two options. If this game is gonna come out later this year, expect a very bare bones release or extremely broken release. One of those two. That's my prediction. Now, I love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong about this. If the game comes out later this year, fine. More content for me. It doesn't matter. For me, it's more content. You have to understand. For me, it's more content. But at the same time, I want this Battlefield game to be a success, because if this game is not a fucking success, I don't think this podcast will survive for long, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying. If this game has a horrible reviews, horrible release date, and all that kind of stuff, that means people don't care about Battlefield, and because they don't care about Battlefield, I don't get any more listeners. People don't care about Battlefield, and I'm just basically talking against the wall to myself. Simple as that. That's the truth. I want this game to be a fucking success. If it's not, we all screwed. Every single person working in this game, every person making content on this game is freaking screwed. Simple as that. So, this is my prediction. If the game is gonna come out later this year, it's gonna be bare bones, which is maybe not a bad thing if you think about, as long as it works. Sure. But after 2042, you don't want a game that is bare bones. I think we all agree on that. And we don't want a broken launch because, like I said, we're all screwed if that happens. So that's my prediction. But I think EA is smart. Vince Zampella is smart. Byron Beatty is smart. If someone's pushing for autumn release, smart people will stop those people from making the biggest mistake in their lives. They will stop them from making a big mistake. That's what I'm saying. We'll see, but that's my prediction. It's not gonna come out this year. It's gonna come out maybe February or March, maybe even April. I kind of doubt they can release it during the summer. I kind of doubt it. If it happens, like, holy shit. But I don't think it's. I think March is probably the more reasonable release date. But yeah. So that's my prediction about the release date and everything. So I've been talking about this for like, 20 minutes now, 25 of us. So I hope I put my thoughts and opinions, or what's the word I'm looking for? Analysis about the release date. So that's that. Okay, so let's go through some quick leaks, like just because I did say it's gonna be a very technical thing. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about the single player mission that got leaked because it's not important. Already talked about. Speaking of, I just wanted to mention this quickly. So I've been watching some game playtest footage that got leaked, and let me tell you right now, I'm not a fan of the visibility in the game. It's like the game looks really good visually, looks very, very good visually, but the shadows are so rough, as in like really, really rough. This is alpha, yes I know, pre-alpha, alpha, whatever the case may be, yes I know, but just playing the playtest, I'm just like, wow, the visibility is actually dog shit. The visibility is actually dog shit. There was this guy playing the game, right, on Domination. I think it was on the mountains map. What's it called? Capstone, I think. Capstone. Yeah, I think I forgot the country name. He was playing the game, and I could barely see what the enemies are because of the way the lighting is in the game sorted. Yeah, again, alpha and everything might change the zone, but I might as well give you the feedback now because I know some developers listening to this podcast, and if you're still listening, let me tell you right now, I don't want to be wrong, but from what I've seen, the visibility is actually dog shit because the way the lighting is set up and everything, very sharp, hard shadows. You either in complete darkness or complete bright as fuck daylight light. Like it's just like it's like it's something like I think original Call of Duty Warzone had problem with. When you like outside, you could see everything. Like it's bright as hell. You can see everything miles away. You can see a pixel just player running like 500 meters away. You can see him and still can snipe him. But as soon as you enter a building or something like that, like you can't see shit. It's dark. It's like not even gloomy. It's just absolute darkness. You can't see shit. And if you have a dark skin, you could not even see that character unless he had like a HUD notification above the head. But even that's not a solution, you know. A HUD notification on the, above a player's head is not a solution. Also, how many times for example, I don't think it's happened in Battlefield or happened in Call of Duty. I think it happened in Battlefield, I remember. That when you look at the player, you see a friendly icon of a player, like your friendly's icon, whatever. You see above a player, but that friendly is behind a wall or somewhere further away, and the enemy HUD icon did not appear at the same time as the friendly one. So you thought, oh, it was a friendly, I will not shoot him. But then you get shot from that player that you looked at because you thought it was a friendly, but it was not a friendly because the icon was behind the wall, going through the wall above a player's head, but the enemy HUD did not appear at the same time as the player one, your friendly one. So you just get confused and got shot in because you thought it was a friendly, but it's not. It was just an enemy player. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, if HUD elements are not the solution to this problem, you kind of need to make sure that you identify who's the player. Who is it on the enemy team or the friendly team, right? So when we have two factions in the game right now in this new Battlefield game, we have Pax Armata and NATO, right? So you kind of need to create a good distinction between these classes visually, so the HUD element doesn't confuse you in these rare moments where it does happen. Yeah, they're rare, but it does happen when you could not tell if it's a friendly or enemy because the HUD element was confusing you because it was going through a wall or whatever the case may be. Well, it happens, right? Rarely, but it does happen. And when it does happen, that makes you really mad, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to experience that ever again. So you kind of want to make sure that the factions, even with the skins, even with the cosmetics and everything, you still can identify what faction that is. Whatever the case, do whatever, make the soldiers stand out that you know which faction that soldier belongs to. So you can actually shoot when you have to shoot and not rely on the HUD elements to tell you what the enemy is or what kind of enemy that is or a friendly or whatever. So yeah, from the playtest, I've been seeing that the visibility is really crap. loads of smoke, loads of particles flying, and the sharp light, the sharp shadows, and everything. I'm just like, I'm gonna have a seizure but trying to look what is going on. I know Valve has never been a competitive, and people saying like, oh, my immersion. I get that. But you kind of want to see what the fuck is shooting at. I remember I saw a clip of two tanks fighting, right? Not two tanks. It was an APC against a tank or something like that, right? And because that APC was just shooting like, I don't know what the round's called, but it was just like shooting like doo at the tank, right? And the tank shoots you, like, and it's like smoke everywhere. I'm like, what I am looking, like, looks cool, yes, cinematic and everything, but I could not fucking tell what the enemy tank is, what's happening from my screen, because there's smoke everywhere and crap. And I'm like, oh fuck. So it's gonna be one of those games, unless they reduce it or balance it somehow, I can't see shit. This game will have a lot visibility problems if it's like gonna be like that when the game launches, like this year or next year, whatever the case may be. They need to fix the visibility, because the visibility right now from the playtest, I can tell it's not that good. It's horrible. It's terrible. So I hope they can fix that.
Surprise! This was not time-stamped. We hope you're enjoying the show so far, but we need to stop for a second and tell you about some important stuff. And now that we have your attention, it's time to tell you all about our amazing Patreon that is helping us keep the show going. Patreon.com/TheLankySoldier.
But yeah, episode 47, you paid for this.
I'm sorry.
I'm not, I don't care.
In my defense, I didn't know it was broken or it was going to break upon squeezing it gently. Battlefield 1 podcast was rebooted in March of 2023. We learned a lot of lessons from our previous shows that consisted of 41 episodes, and we've been building amazing foundations for the future with this current show. There's a reason why we're the best Battlefield-related podcast available on Spotify and anywhere else. We've also had the honor of being listened to by DICE, Ripple Effect, and other developers as well. Now, we want to share even more with you through our Patreon.
And I've never seen her. So I will be like crying and yelling, and I will not be the same person I am right now.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that kind of emotion. I know we're emotionally close and everything, but I don't think we're that emotionally close.
Yeah, that will be an experience of its own.
We want to thank everyone that has joined as a free member or subscribed to our Patreon in the last year. The support is greatly appreciated, always was, and always will be. It's amazing, and it only motivates us to continue with our Battlefield journey. By simply becoming a free member or even subscribing to any paid tier, you're not only supporting the show, but you're also getting a lot of content back in return.
Right, because Call of Duty gets so annoying sometimes, I actually got so desperate I installed League of Legends again.
Oh my god. The perks of any tier is you'll get ad-free early access to all of our future episodes. You can already listen to the previous episodes ads-free as well, simply by being a free member. There's no more waiting, no more interruptions, just pure unfiltered Battlefield content straight to your ear holes, from our mouth holes, and anywhere else. You know, it's amazing, isn't it?
The only reason why CTE did as well as it did back in the day, guys, is because it wasn't locked down to secrecy. Those that couldn't participate were still able to see what was going on. That's the point that I'm getting at right now.
We're also giving you a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into making the Battlefield 1 podcast or any other content we produce, from planning sessions to recording mistakes and everything in between. You'll get an insider's perspective on how we bring each episode to life pretty much from start to finish.
And the reason why I'm saying
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's your fault.
It's all my fault.
It's all your fault, Ray. You ruined the whole show. We need to cancel it again.
Just gotta can it for another 8 months again. Just appear out of nowhere with
we need to cancel it again.
Colors.
Ray, what the fuck did you do?
And that's only Battlefield. We're also offering access to our exclusive Patreon podcast series, Live Gaming Gathering. This is a show where friends and special guests get together and talk about everything from the video game industry to movies and whatever else is on our minds at that particular time. With more than 40 episodes already available, there's hours upon hours of content for you to listen to.
All right, I think we need to move on because we've been kind of on this subject for about the last 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
We got a couple of things in order.
Are you feeling better now? Let this
Yes,
team off.
I do feel better. Oh no, wait, one more thing. For example, Angela, we were in discussion.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Trust me, these are some of the most fun and amazing conversations we have ever had on the show. Because it's just us being us, relaxed and actually having fun. Almost like you're sitting alongside us with the conversation. Yeah.
So the reaction from the Fortnite community is like, okay, every time we see a Cybertruck in the server, it's our mission to drop everything we're doing and send that player back to the lobby.
We also believe in keeping our patrons informed, so we post monthly recaps to let you know what you probably missed during last month's episode, and we're making sure that you're not missing anything important. Just recently, we opened a brand new Discord server where people can talk to each other and get all of the latest updates about our content or the Lanky Soldier channel. Find the link in the description to this episode or at our Patreon. No subscription needed.
You are as a
You
player.
have been measured. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been measured.
Because we're confident that you'll love the content we're creating, we're offering a free trial that you can use at any time. We believe we're making good content that will make you stay, and we would not be offering free trials if we didn't think so.
I've seen a lot of people like literally get excited, like, you know what? This looks very familiar, clearly ripped from somewhere, but damn it, that looks good.
So, if you want to support the show and get all of these amazing extras, head on over to patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep delivering the content that you enjoy. Thank you for being part of the Battlefield community, and thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to seeing you on our Patreon. Now, let's get back to the show.
Quick mention that Battlefield 2042, for example, they had another collab with another EA franchise. So, which I want to mention this quickly. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I'm just going to mention this quickly. So, Battlefield 2042 just released skins for the game. Like, wow, another skin, right? Who cares? But that skin is based on Mass Effect. So, those skins are based on Mass Effect. So, it's basically a Battlefield and Mass Effect collab, right? Collaboration, whatever you want to call it, right? And they make Mass Effect inspired Battlefield skins in Battlefield 2042. So, Battlefield 2042 inspired Mass Effect skins, or Mass Effect inspired 2042 skins, soldiers, whatever, right? So they released a Mass Effect inspired skins in Battlefield 2042, and they look great. Like, if you're a big fan of Mass Effect, they look great, fantastic. 6 months ago, I think they did a Dead Space collab. What's his name, Isaac something, or I forgot the character's name in Dead Space. Isaac, I think it's Isaac. So they released Isaac in Battlefield 2042. Also looked great, right? Maybe not same as Mass Effect, you know, because in Mass Effect, that skins like released now in Battlefield 2042, they look like, you know, the soldiers, right? But they like all the gun skin, like the blueprint, whatever you call it, the gun skin, the soldiers, how they look and everything. They look like soldiers in Battlefield 2042, but Mass Effect inspired, and that's cool. I mean, that's why I always wanted in collabs in Fortnite or in Call of Duty, all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't care about collabs. I don't care. It's fine. But I care that the collabs make sense in that game universe, right? You know, I don't want to see magic shit happening or whatever, like really ridiculous science fiction happening in Battlefield 2042, even though I don't care what happens in Battlefield 2042 at this point. But I kind of still want to see that, you know, skins that represent that universe, right? Same thing goes with this new Battlefield game. So the reason why we have collabs only with EA franchises in Battlefield 2042 is because, well, one, they own the franchise, so you don't have to pay royalties to anyone for that. So if you want to make, hey, we want to make a Mass Effect skin for Battlefield, yeah, we can, because we own both franchises. We can. No royalties being paid. This is our franchise, whatever. That being said, they're doing this on purpose, especially for 2042. They're doing this on purpose. They're doing this to test how people feel about collaborations in Battlefield. Because Call of Duty is doing it, Fortnite is doing it. You'd be a fool to think that EA is not looking at this thinking, you know what? We should not do collaborations. Of course they will do collaborations for the Battlefield game. Of course, the next Battlefield game will have collaborations. Of course it will. It only makes sense. Of course they will. But the reason why it happens with EA franchises right now in Battlefield 2042 is because they want to test how people feel about it. You know, if let's see what's the temperature in the Battlefield community. Like a bit smaller player base because no one really plays Battlefield 2042, but still we can see if people like interact with it. What's the opinion about it on the public forums, wherever the case may be, right? What's the temperature, right? How people feel about it. If it's good, they'll push harder with collaborations with the next game. But it just depends how hard. Collaborations will happen for the next Battlefield game. So before people will start bitching before the game, like after the game comes out, like, why Battlefield's doing collaborations? Let me tell you right now, it will happen. Collaborations will happen with the next Battlefield game, so I'm preparing it right now. So if anyone wants to bitch about why Battlefield is doing collaborations, hi, future you in the future, if you're bitching about why Battlefield has collaborations, it's because it works. Marketing and everything, all that kind of works. So what they do in Battlefield 2042 right now, they testing if it works, if it makes sense with the collabs. They're just testing it. Because the next Battlefield game will have fucking collaborations. That's happening. But, like I said, I don't care what franchise it is. I don't give a damn if it's Star Wars. It's fine. As long as that collaboration and skins or whatever content they make for that Battlefield game, as long as it makes sense in that universe they're building. So if you want to see, let's say Boba Fett from Star Wars, right? Let's say they do Boba Fett, they do Star Wars collaboration with Battlefield. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to see Stormtroopers, Clone Troopers, or Darth Vader, whatever, running around with a gun. But what if it's a real life, what if it's a soldier in Battlefield, right? And it's just like Star Wars inspired helmet or outfit, whatever, but it's still a military outfit that makes sense in this new Battlefield game universe. But it's like inspired, like I've seen some, for example, cosplays of clone troopers, stormtroopers in the U.S. military, right? It's like you can tell these like U.S. military, right? But whatever, like people like cosplaying, right? U.S. military, but it has like the insignia, the colors, and everything, or like maybe the shape. Like you can, like it's a real life soldier, but it's like Star Wars inspired, like for this time, like for this era, whatever, like in our era, like real life era, right? So as long as it makes sense for the universe they're making, it's fine. You can have collaboration with any franchise you want, as long as it makes sense for that universe. So if you want to make a Mass Effect or Medal of Honor collab, because it's still under EA umbrella, you want to make a collab with Medal of Honor for the next Battlefield game, I will cream. Like, imagine they make Medal of Honor Warfighter inspired skins. Oh, that would be so good. Oh, come on, please. I'm literally opening my wallet. Like, come on. I will give my money for that. For sure. But that's what I'm saying. Like, as long as it makes sense in that universe, you can make any skin you want as long as it makes sense, right? So you can have a Stormtrooper, a Clone Trooper inspired skin, but as long as it makes sense that, hey, this is still a soldier in the NATO forces. Hey, this is still a soldier in the Pax Armada, right? Yeah, it's a Stormtrooper, Clone Trooper, whatever the case may be, like Darth Vader. Doesn't matter. But if you can tell it's a soldier in that faction, that he makes that, like, sure, who cares? And people will buy it. I think Destiny 2 had a collaboration with Star Wars recently, and they had Star Wars inspired skins, and they were basically like, still, yeah, I can see that's Destiny 2, and I can see that's Star Wars, but it's still based in the Destiny universe. Like, I don't know what I forgot what the Destiny character's called, like the character you control, like, I really forgot what they called. I'm sorry, I don't play Destiny. But yeah, like those skins in Destiny 2, Star Wars inspired skins, they're still based in the Destiny universe, but you can tell that's Star Wars, right? You can tell that's General Grievous, or that's a Stormtrooper, whatever the case be, right? You can tell, but it's still based in the Destiny universe. They were designed as Destiny characters. So you can have Destiny characters, Destiny inspired characters in Battlefield, but they're of course in the Battlefield universe. Same thing. So I'm just saying, it can work, it can be really fun, and it will happen. It will happen. I'm telling you right now. Quote this, save it somewhere, I don't care. A year later, let's talk about this when the new first collab will release in the next Battlefield game. Just anyone's complaining, just link this podcast part, this clip. I'm saying, yeah, I predicted this. It's like, of course it will happen. Duh, of course it will happen. Just yeah. Right. Okay, I want to mention. Okay, sure. This, like I already mentioned, there's 52 weapons. I don't know if you guys care about them. You probably do. You probably care about what weapons you can see. You know what? I'm just gonna. You know what? No, I'm not touching the weapons. You know what? Because thing is with weapons. Yes, we have 52 weapons now in the game, right? In the Battlefield Labs playtest, and they will have fake names because. You know what? I can mention about that. I'll mention about that. Why do we have fake weapon names, and why Battlefield will use fake weapon names too? Well, it's not because of commission to the manufacturers of those weapons, all that kind of stuff. Last year, I think it was last year, there was a lawsuit happened against Activision, and it was about a school shooting that happened in US. Now, you might be thinking, what has a school shooting has to do with a gun in a Call of Duty game, right? Why does it matter if the gun is called Scar something, right? Why it matters? Well, it's because somewhere, somehow, it was mentioned that the school shooter, fuck that guy, but he was apparently got inspired by a gun in Call of Duty, and he wanted to use the same gun that he used in Call of Duty to shoot some children in US, and which is fucked up it's fucked up, but that's somehow that information came out that he got inspired by a weapon in Call of Duty, and he got that weapon and started shooting kids in school, and I'm like, okay, that's fucked up. And where this lawsuit comes in comes from the children. It's from the parents, the victim's parents. So as soon as they learned that, they suing Activision, and Activision, of course, have to defend themselves. Like, I'm sorry, we have nothing to do with this. And because they had to defend themselves, loads of information, they had to release a lot of information about the games. Like, okay, these are games, this is how much we made, this is what we do, and so on. And they don't want to be associated with that ever again. Now, of course, Call of Duty was using fake names before that happened, but it was like the final nail in the coffin why Call of Duty will never, ever, or any game in this matter, will go back to having names, the real life names of those guns. It will not happen because it doesn't, they don't want to be associated with that. Like, if someone sues them for that, I'm like, that's not our gun. It's named something else. Like, here you go, comparison. We're not breaking any copyright law or whatever. These are our own guns we made. Yeah, they're inspired by real life, but they're not our guns. So, yes, Temporal, for example, he data mined all the weapons like HK-4333, like the assault rifle, L8, Scar L, Type 20, Ace-32, G-36, MP7, MP5. There was like M6, MG4, RPK, like in some Vector, all that kind of stuff. All these weapons, right? That have real life names. Like these are data mined as real life names in the game, but in the files. But when the game releases, it will use fake names for those guns. So I know Temporal posted like example how the names will be called, how the weapons will be called. There were some examples that he did, but it doesn't matter. They will not be called real life names because you want to protect yourself as a company. You don't want to be sued for stuff that was out of your control, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're guilty or not. They don't want to be involved with this future lawsuits because it's time wasting, all that kind of stuff. It's just expensive, all that kind of stuff. It's horrible. So even I'm not even talking about a company. I'm talking about just a simple individual that is like in a lawsuit with something. It's like it's time consuming and everything, expensive. No one wants to be part of that because it's just like, what the fuck? I didn't do anything. Why I'm being dragged into this? So of course, he doesn't want to be dragged into that. So that's why the names of those weapons will be something else than the real life counterparts. HK-433, the M416, whatever you want to call it. It's not gonna be called that. It's gonna be called something else. some imaginary fake name, so they can protect themselves from any future lawsuits or whatever, or someone, whatever. It's not about commission and everything. It's not that. They will gladly pay the. Also, people really care about like, oh, I'm really bored that they're not naming this. Why are they naming using fake names? Pay the companies, the manufacturers, and everything. Like, why? This is like, why? If you have a chance to save some money, not paying the weapon manufacturers for their commission and everything. I mean, sure, if you really want real names, but long story short, why does it matter? Like, do you really care that M416 is called, I don't know, MGX somethings, right? Whatever. Why do you care? Who cares? When you play the game, when you're playing the game, you're in a multiplayer game, right? Or Battle Royale, whatever case may be, right? When you're playing this game, and you're inspecting the weapon, right? You see, like, yeah, it looks like an M416. Cool. It looks like one, functions like one, smells like one. It just has a different name. You're not gonna look at the name when you play in a multiplayer game and you're shooting and getting a kill feed that you killed a player with that gun. You don't care. You will not care. Anyone that says otherwise, I don't think is seeing the full picture, right? I don't think they see the full picture. Like, oh, he killed me with M416. Majority of the time, when you see the kill feed, it doesn't even have a name of the gun. It has a freaking logo, the white logo of the gun, right? The what's it called? The caricature of the weapon, right? You will not care about the name of the weapon outside the menu. You won't. You really won't. When you play the game, it looks like M416, shoots like M416, smells like M416. You will not care how the gun is called when you're playing the game. So I'm just gonna throw it that way. But yeah, apparently 52 weapons already data mined in the game files. Will there ever be on the full launch of the game? I have no idea. No idea. But yeah, I have no idea. So we'll see. When the game is out, it's out. Okay, for the last 20 minutes? Yeah, let's do another 10, 15 minutes maybe. Just kind of have a sip quickly of water. Let's do a quick... let's just go through to Battle Royale leaks quickly. Because I just want to get it out of the way, so I have it on record on the podcast that I talked about, and then we'll compare later how everything changed, or is it still the same, and so on. But anyway, so everyone are familiar with what's going on. So, just, was it 7 days ago? 7 days ago, temporal again, thank you. He went on the file, went through the files and everything. He found 3 concept arts for Battlefield Battle Royale. So those concepts are like, so 2 of them are nothing special. One of them is basically like 4 players going through a wall. They destroy the wall and they start shooting enemy squads, right? Like, so it's 4 versus 4, squads fighting against each other. There's rubble everywhere and so on, and the soldiers in the artwork are actually 2042 characters. So they're just placeholders. I don't think it's anything deep, but they're just placeholders. So don't think about it too much. Or maybe you just scrap concept art for 2042. Anyway, but they're linked to the Battle Royale. So whatever. And the second screenshot is just like 2 soldiers, one with the gas mask and one with a balaclava. They're just going through like they destroy the wall and they're going through like equipment there, like resources, whatever. Like you can see weapons there. You can see ammunition, pistol, just like whatever, just like resources to shoot people, right? It's like there's going to resources. But so those 2 screenshots, artwork, whatever, it's nothing special, right? Like, yeah, looting and shooting, right? It's nothing special. The third screenshot for the Battle Royale, the artwork, whatever, this is a more interesting one. You see the full... okay, not the full. You see how the map supposed to look from the sky. And you see a soldier jumping with a parachute and everything. You see... Yeah, 4. So your squad is jumping from a plane or whatever onto this Battle Royale map. the perspective is from the sky, looking down. So you see the characters jumping, going down with a parachute, and there's 3 parachutes in the distance, which is red, yellow, and blue. Again, it's just artwork. Why was it just exploration? But the most important thing, how the map looks. So we've been getting leaks for the last 3-4 months, maybe a year actually, because I remember hearing rumblings about that the next Battle Royale, the Battlefield Battle Royale map will take place somewhere in USA, and it's like some sort of tropical climate, right? Palm trees, all that kind of stuff. So people are thinking if it's gonna be California or is it gonna be Florida or something like that, right? Looking at this artwork, it does look very American-like, very California or Florida-like. You see like a big highway, you see cars there, you see like a big parking lot, you see a couple of skyscrapers, and then on the right side you see like a bit of sand. I don't know, could be like next to a beach maybe. There's a big ass crater going through the middle of the map of this artwork, right? The big ass crater, and then you see like a tennis court or something like that. Those wannabe Malibu, I think that's what I call Malibu residential buildings. Those rich California buildings, whatever you want to call them, right? Like with a pool, with the trees and everything. Like it's clearly American type of city, and so this basically confirms that the next Battle Royale will take place in USA, which will keep a lot of people interested for a while. Like we did not have that USA based map for so long, or ever. Well, in Battlefield Hardline, but when a Battle Royale comes out, like a free-to-play Battle Royale, and it's based on some American city, yeah, people will be interested in that as hell. That's so fucking cool. Yeah, I don't really care. I just want a good Battle Royale map and a good Battle Royale that can compete with Warzone. That's great. So it's like this even more confirmation that this is basically US based map. Great, cool. But I am kind of worried that it might be a bit too claustrophobic, because again, this is the same thing I mentioned before with Winston Pellet's interview with IGN last year back in September. He said that when he said the game is going back to 64 players servers and everything for because I want to make fun, tight playing areas for those 64 players. And I remember after that article, I literally said on the podcast, the next fucking day, I said, I'm kind of worried this implies that the next Battlefield maps will be very urban, very claustrophobic, very small, and not fun to play in the long run, because it's just random particles. Like, you don't want to play Operation Loca or Operation Metro all the time. Of course, it's not gonna be that, but you don't want to play maps that are very claustrophobic, very close, very small, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't matter Battlefield or not. You don't want to play those maps like that. So that was my worry that that's what they're gonna do. Then the playtests happened, the Battlefield Labs. The Battlefield, those two maps they released. No, sorry, 3 maps. The 3 maps they released in the Battlefield Labs, 2 of them are very urban and claustrophobic. There's clutter everywhere. Like, again, like I said earlier, the visibility is shit in the game right now. So there's loads of clutter, loads of random shit on the ground, on the walls and everything. There's loads of shit happening on your screen that it's hard to tell what the enemy is. So there's loads of clutter and everything. And people was like, oh, it's so realistic. Battlefield never been realistic. Not a point. But it's very claustrophobic maps. Then the third map it's in the mountains. It's not really claustrophobic. It's a bit more open, but it's a bit small. Then you look at the Battle Royale map, right? All the screenshots and everything you've seen. I think we've seen like maybe last 5-6 screenshots now of the artwork of the next Battle Royale. And it's again like city, claustrophobic, American city, could be California, could be Florida, whatever the case may be. It's very urban. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I'm like, in a Battle Royale, you kind of need some open space once in a while. You don't want to make it too claustrophobic and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of worried that this Battle Royale map could be that. I hope not. I hope there's like good open space to play around. That is not just buildings non-stop. Because a good example, for example, I have for you is Call of Duty Warzone when Modern Warfare 3 was out. Urzikstan. When Urzikstan came out, like people say like, oh yeah, after. So before that, we had like a desert map, Al Mazrah, and I think it was a good map. I'm sorry, it was Al Mazrah was a really good map. But in some cases, people think it was a bit too open in some cases. Then they released a map called Urzikstan, and the biggest complaint for Urzikstan was that you could not tell what the points of interest are, the locations, right? With, for example, why Verdansk works so well in the Battle Royale is because you can tell that when you land a certain POI, you can tell this is that. Like, this is Boneyard, this is Hospital, this is Lumber, whatever it's called. This is Airport. You can tell there's distinction between locations, and when you cross them, right, you know you're crossing to a different area. While on Urzikstan, you could not tell. Well, you could, but you could not tell that this is a different location. This is still a different location, even though the minimap is telling you this is Palace, this is Lowtown, this is Superstore. You could not fucking tell because everything looks the same. Because there's buildings everywhere. The buildings are the same. Oh, sure, the layout is a bit different. Maybe the topography is a bit different, but it's still the fucking same. Like, you can go between different locations, right? It did not feel like you crossed to a different location, right? It did not feel like a good Battle Royale map. Even though it wasn't bad, but there was no variety in the locations. And when there's no variety in locations, especially in the Battle Royale map, you're gonna get bored really, really quick unless you have new maps on the site that you can play with. Like, if there's map rotation, fantastic. If there's no map rotation, fuck. you know, so you kind of want to find a good balance between, like, have some variety, right? Because it's a big map, right? We don't know how many players that Battle Royale will have. Maybe we'll have 150, maybe we'll have 128. I hope they'll have 128, so it kind of makes sense for the Battle Royale. And you kind of want variety in different locations, all that kind of stuff, right? If it doesn't have location, you're gonna get bored of this Battle Royale very, very fast, no matter how good the gameplay is. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. I hope they have variety in the map. If there's no variety and it's just buildings non-stop, and maybe sometimes you got a power carry, but it's still there's a residential area, right? Sure, but it still has fucking buildings in there, right? You still have to go through buildings and all that kind of stuff. Sure, distraction and everything will make it fun. But you kind of need to find a balance between different locations. If there's no balance and no variety between locations, you're gonna get bored really, really fast. And I hope that will not happen. I hope. So that's how the map looks and everything. So let's hope it's not gonna look like, you know, the same everywhere. So, and about a month and a half ago, maybe, no, actually 2 months ago, maybe, there was, again, Temporal, thank you so much for all these leaks. Just gonna have a quick sip of water. He released details for this Battle Royale. And I'm talking about gameplay details. So I'm just gonna go through them quickly. So I just have them on the podcast. Or I have it on the show. So I can mention that I mentioned all of it. So feature and details from Temporal that he data mined from the files. The description of Battlefield Battle Royale. Keep moving and survive. Drop into combat zone and prepare for hostile contact. Loot weapons, gadgets, and call-ins for tactical advantage. Complete missions, secure intel and custom weapon drops, and stay ahead of the collapsing NXC Flamefront. Beat the last squad standing to win. So a couple of things here. Wall of Fire is coming back. Love it. Fantastic. One of the best things that happened. Like, I think that's a signature Battlefield thing. Wall of Fire. That's really cool. Love it. Custom weapons. That means it's like Call of Duty Warzone. You can make your own custom weapon and you can equip it and you can use it and win the game with your custom weapon. I love that. As a Call of Duty Warzone fanboy, even though Call of Duty Warzone is not doing great these days, but not the point. One of the unique features about Warzone was that you can use your custom weapon and win the game with it. Brought a la... what's the word I'm looking for? personality to you. Like it may be a bit unique because like, hey, if I win the game, I win it on my own terms with my own weapon. That's great. I love that. So that's that. So custom weapon, you have your custom weapon. Wall of fire, great. Complete missions, basically contracts from Call of Duty Warzone, great. And loot weapons, guys, wow. So what's the lore? The lore. After an explosive disaster exposes a classified military R&D facility to attack by multiple... What? After an explosive disaster exposes a classified military R&D facility to attack by multiple identified PMC groups, the handler deploys an elite squad to secure the site before its secret can fall into the wrong hands. So I guess it just... that was a quote. Basically, your squad is some special forces squad, and you need to secure whatever that is. By winning the game, whatever. It's just lore. Who cares? It's just lore. I mean, great. There's lore that explains why we're here in the first place. Great. I love that. Like, just give us the reason why we're all fighting against each other. So that's fine. I love that. That's cool. Whatever. A bit of lore building, background. What's the word? Background now. Give us some context, right? Context. Give us some context, which is great. So, gameplay features. Priority missions. Keep an eye for priority missions. High reward opportunities that present themselves as the situation on the ground unfolds. So I guess with each circle, a new mission, priority mission will appear and you complete it and get rewards and so on. Countering missions. When a nearby enemy squad starts a mission, you may be given the chance to stop them and steal their rewards. There's like quotes saying what you will hear in the game if that happens, which is quite interesting. Warzone doesn't have that. You were able to steal someone's nuke contract back in the day when they had new contracts in Warzone, but you could never steal someone's contract, right? So if someone's doing a contract, aka mission in this game, you can steal their mission and finish it and get the rewards. That's actually really cool. There's a bit of high risk, high reward type of thing. I love that. That's actually really cool. I really, really love that, and that's a really good feature. I like that. So mission rewards. Choose a mission from the map for the chance to earn rewards like combat vehicle, access cards, key cards, custom weapon drops, and more. So vehicles are gonna be in the Battle Royale. Great. We don't know what kind of vehicles. Could be tanks, could be transport, could be helis, could be anything. But I hope they just are balanced. But it can. I know some people say like, oh, but they could not contain themselves not to include vehicles in the Battle Royale. You know what? It's Battlefield Battle Royale. I'm sorry. Like I get it. I understand where people are coming from, but you kind of need to have vehicles in the Battlefield Battle Royale. You just have to, because it's kind of the signature thing for Battlefield. Yeah, it will be a bitch to balance them, but you can. But you kind of have to have them, unfortunately, just because it's a Battlefield thing. It's like you want to be unique from everything else, and Battlefield has always been famous for its vehicles, so you kind of have to. I'm sorry, that's the thing. Vehicle keycards. Obtain a vehicle keycard and take it to the marked container and access a powerful combat vehicle. So it's probably like tanks and like whatever, APCs, or maybe a transport with a LMG, whatever the case may be. We'll see. Battlefield Labs, they're probably gonna have playtest the Battle Royale at one point. Anyway, custom weapon drops. Watch for airdropped support packages containing your customized weapons. You can retrieve one of your custom weapons for a custom weapon drop. Find another one to secure a second custom weapon. Custom weapon drops can be earned as a rare reward for completing missions. So basically, loadout missions and everything, and loadout drops in Call of Duty Warzone. Randomly drops a specific point, and you can get it from there. If you want to get your own, there is not a public one and so on, it's not around with other players, you can basically do some missions and get it from there, which makes sense. If you're a good player and you want to do missions, you do the missions, kill some players, get your loadout quickly, get your custom weapons quickly, and then continue on your game, right? Try to win the game with them. Yeah, that makes sense. Because Call of Duty Warzone has this satisfying gameplay loop, and I can see reading this is basically that, but with a Battlefield twist on it, which is great. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with Warzone's gameplay loop. Warzone's problems are coming from Activision and other game development problems, not the gameplay loop itself. The gameplay loop is fine, and this is fine. I have no problem with that. So, field upgrades. Complete missions to earn your field upgrades quickly. I'm guessing it's the, whatever, like ammunitions box, some special perk, or whatever the case may be, but I'm pretty sure they're not gonna be too overpowered. Then there's the second chance mechanic. So for a short time after infill, you get one free redeployment after that. So when you die, you can redeploy again. You have a second chance. Like, you can't have a gulag because gulag is a Warzone type of thing. And Battlefield trying to do a Battlefield Call of Duty type of thing, I don't think will sit well with people. But we'll see. So it does have a second. So if you die, you still have a chance to redeploy. You will redeploy and try to, go back into the game. And if you die again, you'll not redeploy. So it does say here redeploy points. If one of your squad mates is killed, activate a redeploy point to bring them back into the fight. Mobile redeploy points can be found as a rare loot and as a reward for completing missions. You can contest redeploy points by activated by hostiles to pause the activation progress. Okay. Using a redeploy point while your squad mates are awaiting second chance redeployment prevent the second chance from being spent. Okay, so the way I understand. So if you die, you instantly redeploy. I don't like that. I do not like that because this sounds very... So in Warzone, we had a thing called redeploy tokens. And it really sucks. It really, really, really sucks when you wipe a squad. You wipe a squad in Warzone. And the next fucking second, a guy comes in from the sky, lands on his shit, and starts shooting you again. So if you wipe a squad away, right, I don't think they will land on you again because you wipe them out, right? You're not gonna land back on them. But what happens with fights, right? When you're fighting another squad in Warzone and you kill one dude, you confirm the kill. He's dead. He's absolutely dead. For you to instantly, for that squad mate, for that player to redeploy instantly after he is dead, to go back into the fight and pick up some weapons and start shooting again, that is so annoying, broken, and not fair in the grand scale of things. It was extremely annoying in Warzone Battle Royale, in the Call of Duty Warzone. It was extremely broken, not fun. Just I hope this second chance thing that they have in this Battle Royale, in this Battlefield Battle Royale, it's not that. If it's that, it's gonna be a shit show and it's gonna be broken and not fun. So I hope they fix that. I hope it's not that, because goddamn, it's really stupid when you just you kill a player, you can try to kill the other squad mates, but it's okay. The other one, the one that you just killed, 3 seconds later, he's already back on the ground shooting you again. And it's not fun. It's stupid. Kind of defeats the purpose of a battle royale, if you know what I mean. So I hope that's not that, and they will do some changes or something like maybe a timer. Maybe like a timer. Like, oh, if you survive for 30 seconds more, he will redeploy. Sure, like Call of Duty Warzone Resurgence or something like that. Makes sense. Redeploy points. They sound like buy stations. But this actually sounds like Fortnite way of redeploying players back. So this sounds like, when in Fortnite, when a player dies, when your squad mate dies, right? You can pick up their cards, or you can spend money, and you have to go to your redeploy van. There's like, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 redeploy vans around the map. So you need to go to one of those locations, and you basically hold E on my keyboard, or I don't know what button is on a console, on a keyboard, on a controller. But anyway, you hold the button, and there's like a progress bar, like a circle, right? And it takes about maybe 15 seconds, maybe 15 seconds to redeploy a player. So you just like hold, and you just hear a sound that is like a progress bar is filling up. As soon as that progress bar is filled up, the player respawns, right? So it sounds like that. It does not sound like the Call of Duty Warzone buy stations, where you have to go to a buy station, you have enough money, you click on your friend and he is redeployed. I don't think this is not the same. This sounds like Fortnite way of redeploying players, which is fine. I do not mind that actually. That's actually really cool because it kind of high risk, high reward thing. Like, hey, if you want to try to save your body, you kind of actually try and give a shit. You need to know which redeploy point is the safest, all that kind of stuff. That's great. Fortnite way of redeploying players, I think it's not a bad thing. I think it's a bit different from Warzone, and I think that's fine. I really don't mind that. Anti-tank crates. If there's an enemy combat vehicle in your area and you have no anti-tank vehicle weapons, keep an eye for them for marked AT drops. So this is what Ray suggested last year when we were talking about the Battle Royale. We were discussing, well, okay, if Battle Royale will have vehicles, how are we going to do that, right? How are we going to have vehicles, and what happens if you don't have anti-tank, anti-vehicle equipment? Ray suggested, well, what about you just drop them around the map everywhere? I mean, like, sure, kind of lame way of fixing the problem, but I guess it works. Apparently that's what they're gonna do. They're just gonna drop, anti-tank crates everywhere for you to use. If you see an enemy tank, whatever, in a battle royale, hey, at least there's a crate here and you can use to destroy the tank. I mean, that's what Ray suggested, and apparently that's what's happening. So I guess. Supply bag armor. The support class supply bag gadget provides armor plates. He mentions that this mentions the support class, which is quite interesting. Scavenging. Walk over dead enemies' backpacks to collect their ammo and armor plates. You can recover combat vehicle access cards from the killed hostiles that were holding them. I hope this is not like they're gonna be like backpacks in Warzone. I hope not. You have to go there, click on it, and you open like an inventory page. I hope that's not it. I hope not. I don't want that. It was not fun. But again, it's a Battlefield Battle Royale. If they want to do that, sure, well, it's a bit different, but I hope they will not do that. But anyway, we'll see. Vehicle containers. After you activate a combat vehicle container using a keycard, you'll need to defend while it opens. So if you want to get a vehicle, a tank, you need to defend it for a while, unless, from other players if they want to gank you. NXC Flamefront. The ring of burning NXC, whatever, is never stable. So basically it's that wall of fire, right? The circle, right? The circle. It's the circle. It's the gas, the storm. It's just a wall of fire. It will constantly collapse until nothing remains. NXC instantly destroys anything it touches. Respect the ring. You'll start burning if you're too close to the ring. That's actually a really cool kind of mechanic. I actually do not mind that. So if in any other battle royale, like in Fortnite or Warzone, if you're next to the gas or storm, whatever, you don't do anything. You don't take any damage, But when you're inside, yeah, of course you will take damage. But if you're next to it and there's like a wall of fire, and if the closer you go to the fire and you take like small, tiny damage, you know what? I do not mind that. I'm one of those people that I'm okay with the Battle Royale ring being very aggressive and straight to the face, right? Like, listen, if you're next to me, I will fuck you up. Which kind of prevents, if you want to do a play, like you want to go through the smoke and gas and the fire and everything and like try to do a play, yeah, you can. But you have to understand what's the risk of you doing that play. And if you succeed that, you manage to make that play really good, like it's more satisfying. So I'm kind of okay with the circle being like this, right? It's just there to fuck you up. So it's kind of, just because you're next to it and you're taking some damage, I mean, that's kind of interesting, yeah. Ring prediction. The inner ring on your map shows what the ring... Okay, that's whatever. Repair tool. In addition to the repairing vehicles and gadgets, and the engineer class repair tool can be used to crack some saves. Okay. Shakedown. Perform a takedown on a downed player to take their dog tags and briefly reveal the squad mate's position. Okay, that's kind of cool. Like resurgence from Cold Warzone. That's cool. If you're low on health or ammo in a combat vehicle, find a resupply station to top off. Vehicle resupply stations have limited uses. To get the most of your combat vehicle, use them wisely. Okay, cool. So you can resupply vehicles. This is more interesting. Oversight system. The oversight system allows soldiers and out of the fight to stay in the action with remote cameras, drones, and turrets. This is the interesting part. So if you're dead in a battle royale, in this Battlefield Battle Royale, and you want to help your teammate, you can use cameras, you can use drones, you can use turrets, and you can help your teammates to, hey, this is where the enemy is. Be involved in the action, you know. Just because you're dead, it doesn't mean you're dead. You can still be very useful. That's interesting. That's actually interesting. Oversight terminals. Capturing an oversight terminals gives you your dead squad mates control of advanced security systems with lethal potential. So because you're dead, and your teammate that is still alive captures this terminal, that means that your drone can have a fucking minigun. Or explosives or whatever. Yeah. Don't know how I feel about that. I do not know how I feel about that. Sounds cheesy. Sounds really cheesy. But we'll see. Oversight gadgets. Drones accessible via oversight system have ordnance delivery capabilities. Bombs away. So okay, it has bombs. Public cameras. Even if you don't have control of your an oversight terminal, dead squad mates can use local security cams to maintain visibility. So I guess that's why the maps are very urban, all that kind of stuff, because cameras, right? Like I guess. Oversight drones. Drones accessible via the oversight system can be used. Okay, whatever, that's not important. Oversight turret. What's a turret? Turrets accessible via the oversight system are vulnerable to enemy fire while controlled. Okay, whatever, that didn't explain anything. Class chests. Class chests contain loot tailored to your chosen class. So basically, that means that when you deploy to a Battlefield Battle Royale, you can choose what class you want to be while dropping. Well, I guess you can change classes mid-game, like in the game. You don't have to be locked to one class through the whole game. But if you have a preferred class, you can change to the class you want. I mean, okay. I mean, that's unique to Battlefield classes. So I guess a Battlefield Battle Royale having classes, that, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Rare chests. Rare chests that can contain upgraded weapons, colons, and plate carriers, and so on, blah, blah, blah. And upgraded armor. Find XSAP API plate carrier to double your armor capacity. I don't like that. Like, I don't like battle royales that have like different levels for the armor and everything. Or like, oh, if you don't have this level 3 armor plate, fuck you, I guess. Like, just because you were not lucky enough to loot that in your looting area. I don't like that. It was horrible in Warzone. Sure, it's not PUBG. It works well in PUBG, I guess, and so on. And maybe other. Like, I don't like that. I hope they don't have that. Remove that. Give everyone the chance to equip as many plates as you want. Otherwise, it's just so not fucking fun to fight when you have less health than the enemy players, just because you got unlucky with the looting. Please, 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 please don't. It's just, I hope not. I don't want to hear that. Like, it's. Trust me, anyone listening and never played a battle royale or whatever, trust me, it's not a good feature. It's just not. Unless there's a secure and good, reliable way to get those plates. Sure, maybe. But please don't. Please don't. It's a horrible feature. Especially when you're in circle. Someone revived you and you're respawning and you basically have like a, I don't know, shitty weapon and so on. That's okay, who cares, right? It shoots bullets, you can shoot the player. And if you're good enough, you'll use it to your advantage. But when you redeploy in the last circle, right? And for example, you can't equip all your armor because you don't have this rare armor plate thingy, but your teammate has. Sure, he can throw it at you and give you that armor plate, and you can have all the plates, but your teammate won't have that armor plate anymore because he can't have it full, and so on. It's like, it's just dumb. It's just not fun, not fair. I understand this is supposed to be fighting against all odds, all that kind of stuff, but just because you don't have your custom weapons alone, it is fighting against against all the odds, and you're already probably in a shitty position and everything. It's not fun and very stupid. It's not stupid, but it's not fun. Trust me. This playtest and everything, this proof there's like people playing other games with that kind of system. It's just not fun. Trust me, it's just not fun. I hope they don't include that in the end. Let me equip all the plates I want, because goddamn, I'm already a soldier. Why can't I equip plates? Why? Like, why not? It's just like, you see, it's not fun. Trust me, it's not fun. And then last bit, lootable vehicles. Some abandoned civilian and military vehicles can be looted. Be careful of alarms. Sure, vehicles can be looted. Sure, whatever. So again, vehicles. So yeah, that's all the details about the Battlefield Battle Royale. Sounds very interesting. Sounds cool. I'm glad they have vehicles, even though people might disagree with that. I'm glad they have vehicles. What was the redeploy? I'm not a fan how the redeploy is mentioned here. I hope you're not gonna instantly redeploy after you died, because that is cheese, that is dumb, it's really not fair and not fun and so on. Fights have no meaning after that. So I hope there's like some sort of system, like a time or something to prevent good pushes, because it's just, when you have a really long fight with a squad, it's not fun, trust me. It's not fun when you kill a player and he instantly respawns from the sky. It's like, what's the purpose of the Battle Royale, right? If you just instantly respawn, right? If you see what I mean. I love the fact that classes are just it's a thing. Classes are a thing. The upgraded armor thing. Oh, I'm really not a fan of that. Like I said, like just 3 minutes ago, not a fan. There's gonna be cheese. It's gonna be garbage. It's gonna be. It's not a fun feature. Trust me, fam. It's really not a fun feature. I can tell right now. But yeah, that's all the details about the Battlefield Battle Royale. It sounds really fun, especially the oversight thing and everything. But damn, that sounds low. Like I cannot lie that I don't see any problems with it. Of course, I see loads of problems with it, and I hope they can change it. I hope they at least play tested the Battlefield Labs. Give us the Battle Royale to play test. Give us open beta play test, something, because yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's not gonna be fun and gonna be ruin the enjoyment of this Battle Royale. I hope that's not the case, but hey, we'll see. Oh wow, I've actually been rambling for an hour and 30 minutes. Jesus fucking Christ. If you're still listening, you're a champ. You're an amazing supporter. Thank you for listening to my rambles and everything. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about, because Ray was working, Andre is not available. Leaks, loads of leaks, and I've been saying what I've been saying for the last 6 months, I guess. Positive signs for the game. Really positive signs. The game looks really fun, looks really interesting, all that kind of stuff. I'm really looking forward to this Battle Royale. I'm looking forward to the multiplayer and all that kind of stuff. But boy, there's some red flags there that I hope they will notice those red flags and they can fix them. Because there's a lot of things I'm not keen on. The visibility, the Battle Royale features, like the upgraded armor and all that kind of stuff, right? The redeploys, yeah, the collabs. Let's see what the kind of collabs will happen in there. But of course, that's not important now. But yeah, I'm just gonna end the podcast here. Like, I'm just interesting. Really, like, the game looks really interesting in a positive way and everything, but there's loads of stuff that I'm not a fan of. We'll see. Playtest. We'll see. When I have access to the playtest, I will be honest with my feedback and everything. But yeah, that's so far. I'm really excited for the game and everything. We really need a new Battlefield game, so on. But I'm okay if the game doesn't release later this year. That's fine. Take your time. Make sure. Like, if you need more time to fix this, the visibility, the redeploys, the place and everything, it's fine. Take your time. It doesn't mean the Battle Royale is going to be launching at the same time as Battlefield multiplayer. But hey, you better be sure than, be sorry, right? So I hope the game is not going to come out this year, because I don't think it's going to be a really good release date. The game is not going to be in good state if you release later this year. But I'm glad that community is slowly finally realizing, like, hey, the game is not going to come out later this year. The signs are there, and slowly but surely people are coming around, which is fine. But yeah, I'm just going to end the podcast here. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for listening to my ramblings and everything. We'll come back on the next episode. Me and Ray will come back on the next episode. Sorry that there was no episode in the last almost 2 weeks. It's because I'm still working on the website. Almost done. Almost fucking done. Just like almost done. It's almost there. Just need to optimize it for mobile. Finish some stuff there and there. And we have a website. It's looking really nice. It's looking great. Thank you guys for all the feedback that all the people that provided the feedback to the web about the website on our Patreon. Thank you for joining as a free member and giving us feedback. I already sent the Patreon subscriptions for free for those people for giving us feedback. Thank you so much. Enjoy your free subscription for a month. But yeah, thank you guys, everyone on the Patreon and everything for everything. Its support means a lot to us, motivates us to continue to work on the website, motivates us to produce the podcast and everything. Yeah, so, oh my god, I've been talking for so long. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. As usual, follow our socials, leave a rating. If you enjoy my ramblings, please do leave a rating. Please engage with us. Please do whatever. Follow us on socials. Everything's in the description. Give us feedback on this podcast and everything. Google Docs document and everything in the description. Of course, join Patreon for free. Join our Discord and all that kind of stuff. So, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys on the battlefield. And hopefully, the next Battlefield game is in a good state. And we're all gonna have fun. And this podcast is not gonna go it's not gonna go downhill. So, thank you guys for listening. Enjoy your day. I'll see you guys on the next one.